Welcome back to my newest installment of me talking about whatever the hell I want to talk about. As you might have seen by the title, you're probably like, Destiny, what do you mean? Virgin women are more valuable? But you're not a... And my answer to that is, yeah, apparently so. According to the manosphere, virgin women are more valuable. If you don't know what I'm talking about, which I don't expect you to, because I'm hoping that this is other women watching this, or maybe men, thinking men of a caliber kind of mine or similar. Unless you are a part of the manosphere, then this is not a safe space for you. This is not a safe space for you. Hot takes such as virgin women are more valuable. The more bodies a woman has, the more her value decreases. Women waste their lives being hoes, and they just deplete their value and their chances of getting high value men. Let's take a deeper look on what the manosphere really is, what red pillars are, what they believe in, and what incels are. Let's get into it. This is not a space to hate on men, and this is definitely not a space to hate on women. Just starting off, in my hand is my fake microphone. I don't know, I can't speak today. In my hand is my fake microphone. It's a taser. Today I'll be using it. It'll be doubling as a mic or a spotlight. I'm done with my recording. Let's get into the world of insecure men. So my first segment is, what is the manosphere? What is the manosphere? Because whenever I hear about it, I see these two bald-ass, grown-ass men talking about how women's value depletes the more men they've been with, all this other crap.
So what really is the manosphere?
Let's go over to our friend Wikipedia. Not always trusted, but the only place you're gonna find any information about internet stuff like this on a serious note. So it reads, the manosphere is a collection of websites, blogs, and online forums promoting masculinity, misogyny, and the strong opposition to feminism. Communities within the manosphere include men's rights activists, incels, involuntary celibates, men going their own way, pickup artists, and fathers' rights groups. This community also overlaps with the far-right and alt-right community, and they've been associated with online harassment and radicalizing men into misogynistic beliefs and the glorification of violence against women. Now, that violence against women part, we'll get into that a little bit later, but that is not too far from the truth. That's very on point, actually. Moving into Fresh and Fit. The new upcoming kings of the manosphere community. If you didn't know already, our two culprits of this Fresh and Fit podcast are, I don't want to butcher his name. I'm going to try to pronounce it as best as I can. It's Amru Fudil. I'm so sorry, I don't know how to say it. Also known as Myron Gaines. He plays Fit on the Fresh and Fit podcast, and since Google doesn't really know, maybe he's not very straightforward about it. Obviously not, he's pretty insecure, whatever, we'll get into that in a second. His age is unknown, but he's said to be between 30 and 35. Then we have Walter Weeks, who plays the role as Fresh, and he's said to be 28 to 20. Anywho, I don't know how accurate these are. Let's say these guys are both just 30, pretty much. They're 30. So out of the 20s, they're grown, established, 30, okay. If you don't know already, Myron and his henchman, what's that guy's name again? We just said it. Walter. Okay, Fresh and Fit. We're just gonna call them that. They don't even need their real names, because if these are their alter egos, that's enough for me. Basically, a quick little summary if you didn't know who they were already. These are two incel men who had trouble finding girls, so they began to work out, got on the Miami scene, got into clubbing, made a podcast, started this little self-help guru thing for men, would bring back drunk women from the club so that they could talk over them, spread to them their misogynistic ideals, and mansplain what men want and how women become worthless over time based off of who they decide to have sex with on their little podcast. So that's what they do. So I think they do it about like every night, where they have these girls come on that they find in the club that are usually not the best candidates to be speaking for anything about women's anything. Just anything. Just some drunk girls who just really wanted to come to Miami to have fun. And you know, they probably came up to them in the club like, hey, you want to be in my podcast? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then it's very obvious that when they get there, Throughout the podcast, everybody has a red cup, and it's very encouraged that the girls drink, from what it seems. Because for the most part, the girls are usually there with a red cup drinking, whereas Myron and Walter don't seem to be sipping on anything except for that goddamn Haterade. And if they are, they barely drink any of it, or they might just be angry drunks. I don't know, but it seems like the girls drink more, or they come in already intoxicated off of anything else and just aren't in the space to be advocating for women. But they come on the podcast, and either it seems like they don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're unaware of what this podcast, I forgot my microphone. I don't know if they're unaware of what this podcast is all about or what they do, but they either end up trying to stand up for women and get kicked off of the podcast, or they're sheep to these men and they hype up their wrongdoing. So over time, from them being able to kick out these women, work out, and work their way to success, they've been these self-proclaimed alpha males. It's irony, honestly, when they're really just two insecure males who are trying to validate their even more insecure following of incels that feel like any man that's able to be in a room around women and possibly get a sliver of meow meow is the Messiah, and his word is gospel. Amen. Hallelujah. I do not make the rules, but that is exactly what it is. Like, this actually gives like cult, but let's continue. While still on the topic with their extremely crazy beliefs. Matter of fact, I was just watching a video from them last night, and I swear I was listening to them. I'm assuming I can say this on YouTube, but they were joking about trafficking. Like, trafficking. I'm going to play the clip.
Did you hear about the one with Molly Mall or something? The music producer?
Molly Mall, yeah.
You see?
Who's Molly Mall?
He's kind of like a music
Producer
mogul guy.
Yeah.
That's very successful, very rich.
So there was a girl basically trying to explain to them that Molly Mo, the music producer, has been, he's a trafficker. He does human trafficking, and all of his clients are celebrities. And the girl was bringing it to Myron's attention that, oh, did he know that this music producer has basically been trafficking women all this time? Previously in the podcast, they were speaking about how women take payments in the club sometime in exchange for sex from men, whatever, which is extremely different and a very big jump from taking money in the club and then going back to the hotel room versus I'm a music producer and I traffic young women. But okay. So the girl's explaining this to him, and it wasn't so much of what he said, but how he said it and his reaction to the information. He didn't seem shocked. He didn't seem remorseful. He didn't seem like we were talking about, this is like a serious situation. Somebody in the industry working with celebrities is trafficking young women. Him and Walter almost treated it as if it was a good idea. Like, I don't want to say they were supporting it, but the way that they were hyping it up, like they were like, oh yeah, it makes sense that he would do that. Like, he's in the perfect position to do so. Like, what a smart money move, man. Yeah, like it only makes sense.
Basically, he will source the girls, hot as hell, young, ready to go, and just, yo, you want some girls? Go over there.
What's the name again? Molly Mall?
Yeah.
All
What
right,
does he
let's-
look like? Do it so I can watch your show.
I'm just Google it real fast.
I think it was on Love and Hip Hop.
You can bring it up,
It was
Chris.
Love and Hip Hop?
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Molly
Love
Mall.
and Hip Hop guy.
Right, like what? He said, here goes Walter. So basically, like the girl's trying to explain to him what this man was doing, why he was, you know, capturing these women and taking them from where they live and basically selling them and making them slaves, like against their will, and turned it into basically the guy would take these girls, young girls, you know, really young chicks, hot as hell, you know, of course they gotta look good, you know, our clients are pretty up there, and you know, young, hot as hell, ready to go. What does that even mean?
Source the girls, hot as hell, young, ready to go, and just, yo, you want some girls? Go over there.
Take these girls young, hot as hell, ready to go, and be like, hey, if you want girls, go over there. I've never heard anybody describe somebody getting abducted and being sold for the sex trade as young, hot as hell, ready to go over there. Are women people? Like, are we people? No, just objects. Just hot as hell, young, ready to go. And the way Myron says, yo, what's his name? You said it was Molly Mo, and pulls out his little phone to the side to look him up on Instagram and like follow him.
What's the name again? Molly Mall?
Yeah.
I'm just Google it real fast.
I think it was on Love and Hip Hop. It was Love and Hip Hop.
Yeah,
the Love and Hip Hop guy.
He's literally doing it like, oh my god, he said he does what? Like, this guy's a fucking genius. Why didn't I think of that? I should grab all of you that are here and just put you in the side room, and any of my guy friends who come over, just, yeah, there they are. Young, hot as hell, ready to go over there. Like, what, even as a woman on this podcast, I just feel like the reaction for me would have been just so nerve-wracking. Like, it's so ill. It gives me the ick. If you don't know what an incel is already, here's the definition of it. I'll throw it up on the screen. But basically, incel is short for involuntarily celibate, which means these are guys who can't have sex, and this is against their will, basically, because nobody will have sex with them. So they found a way to gamify women so that they can protect their masculinity and basically make women the problem instead of them, all in an attempt to protect their masculinity and make them feel a little bit better. It was very hard for me to do my research because I would have to sit there and watch a couple of these Fresh and Fit podcasts, which would definitely make my brain cells deteriorate, but it's okay because after this video it's done and I won't have to anymore. Unless I do decide to make an update, I don't know, but I won't have to for research for a while. It was like, it was just melting my brain. I don't know. It was brain fucking me, like literally. It was awful. But a couple of them were a little bit entertaining to watch. A couple of insecure guys sit around in a circle and tell a room full of 8 women how they're all hoes or how they'll never find the man that they're looking for. Basically degrading all of the women that come on their show, even though the videos that they have with women on their show are like their most popular content. Like, they need these women to make content, yet still when they come on there they just degrade them. I really wish women would stop going on their podcasts. I really do, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. But the only way to solve this obviously would be to cancel that whole crap. And really, the captions and the comments these guys have made about black women not wanting to talk to black women because they're ratchet and ghetto, as if white women cannot be ratchet or ghetto. Because I've never seen a ratchet or ghetto white woman before. Anyways.
All peace to all my damn homies who ain't make it out of 6. Nigga, we made it. Nigga, I'm eating food I can't even pronounce, nigga.
Just another form of self-hate. But on another note, who is greenlighting their titles? Like, if you go on their page, I'm gonna look it up right now. You cannot tell me if you follow these guys or you're subscribed to them that you do not hate women. I'm sorry, but it's true. Like, you hate women if you watch them. Like, if you watch them on a serious note, you hate women. Mainly because, you know how titles are supposed to attract you to clicking on a video or thumbnails? Well, the thumbnails are usually just them and a room full of women, and then the titles are something degrading. Literally the hub for men who hate women. Let's go through some. Why men don't wife hoes and prefer women with lower body counts. She's a hoe if her body count is this much. Here's why hoe phase girls are fucked. Spiritual, in quotation marks. Spiritual girl cries after Myron says this. Ooh, we want to see a woman cry. Let's click on that one. Oh my god, it has 206,000 views. Hey, we did not say that the incel community wasn't a big one. Why female body counts matter. What every man must know. She couldn't admit that she's been with a lot of dudes. This 32-year-old bimbo kept showing her attitude. Oh my gosh, not a 32-year-old bimbo. We know that women don't matter after they turn 30 around here. The world wants you to be a simp. Ratchet NYC girls versus the Fresh and Fit chat roast. Who has more options? Should men date single moms? The list really just goes on and on. Women don't appreciate men's sacrifices. Sounds a little angry to me. Honestly, anytime a woman stands up for themselves on this podcast or shows that she's not going for the BS, they either kick her off.
Like, I'm still a woman. Like, treat me like one. Like, I don't understand why you have to be like extremely like aggressive.
No, hold
like,
on. I'm gonna treat you as equal. Get the fuck out. Deadass. Get out.
All right, round 2.
I'm dead serious. Get out.
Or they talk over her, tell her to shut up, get mad. Same thing they did with Asian Doll. If you haven't seen the clip already, here it goes.
How you gonna come on somebody's show, not know what go down, and say, "Oh, you're mean"?
It don't matter. I can say what I want.
Okay, well you can get the fuck off the show too.
I don't give
Man,
a fuck.
Get off the show too.
man.
Asian Doll basically gets on the podcast. She comes a little bit late. Myron's already upset at one of the girls because she keeps on talking. Apparently he has a room with like fucking 8-10 people in it, and he gets mad when he gets 8-10 frigging mics and everybody starts talking. It makes no sense. If you don't want people to talk that much, don't have all those people in a room, or just only do the podcast with Asian Doll. It makes no sense. Asian Doll comes a little bit late. She starts talking a bit too to the side. He tells her to be quiet. He does it in a very aggressive way where he's like, hey, be quiet. Don't you hear the alpha males talking? Dude. So she was like, oh my gosh, you're mean.
We're in a man
mean
club.
ass
That's
nigga.
like approaching me.
Hold on. Excuse me?
You mean?
I'm not mean at all.
Okay, I don't care.
Have you been here the whole time?
No.
All right then, so you don't know what was happening, right?
And he was like, who the fuck? I'm mean? I know this? Who the fuck are you talking to? Like, he was so pissed. He was like, I know she's like, he got so mad to the point where he even walked off. Like, he walked off. He was like, you don't even know what was going on. And then henchman, Walter ass decides to jump in, and he's like, you don't even know what was going on. Like, she was talking so much before you got here. And Asian Doll was just like, okay, like, I don't care. Like, I said you're mean. So, you're mean. And then he was just like, he was pissed. Like, his whole posture changed. He was sitting there like,
Say you mean. It is what it is. What the fuck you want me to say?
That's not the truth,
mean,
though.
You mad about I said mean? You grown as hell.
What?
Yeah, well.
Okay. We're going to the show
we'll
right
start
now,
it over. I promise I won't.
So nothing wrong with that.
Listen, dude. Listen. Don't let them downers fool you, babe. Don't do that.
like, do not challenge an alpha male that's pretending to be an alpha male. How dare you? He's gonna go off. Now he has to do the most to prove that he is an alpha male. So, you know, whole time he's sitting there angry as hell till eventually he walks off. And then, you know, I guess Asian just realizes the room that she's in, so she doesn't want to be there anymore, and she leaves. They start talking shit. Myron also decides to bring up the fact that he doesn't know who Asian Doll is, which I feel like is major cap.
We don't change. I don't even know who she is, so I don't care.
That's King Von girl. Like, you don't know who King Von is?
No, I know who King Von is, but
Okay,
I mean,
then you should know who his girl is.
Fact you said it's King Von's girl instead of it was her.
yeah, that tells you right there.
That tells
all
you
need to
everything.
know.
It's
I
King
don't
Von,
know
bro.
who she is, and I don't care.
Yeah, it's King Von, man.
You know what I'm saying?
R.I.P.
Obviously, they definitely marketed that particular show off of her, saying that Asian Doll was going to be there. They didn't mention any of them other randoms. They didn't know who they were, but yet still, Myron went on to say, oh, I don't know who she is. Oh, she's King Von's girlfriend. That's the only reason why people know who she is. I definitely knew who Asian Doll was when I was in middle school. I used to listen to her music when King Von was locked up fighting with locks, okay? People know who Asian Doll is. Don't do that, Myron. Who the fuck are you? A rowing team ass nigga. Sit your ass down. And calm down talking crazy like that, because he's an alpha male, but Asian Doll, I wouldn't mess with her before he get his ass. The way he talking, the way he was talking to her, his attitude, the way he was acting, that shit'll get you fucked up. I don't know if he was born and raised in Miami. Their podcast is filmed in Brickell. I'm from Florida. I'm from South Florida. I don't know if you guys know where Brickell is, but it's like our financial district, and it's in Miami. He better calm the fuck down, because she knows where his shit's at. He could get hit up at any given moment. I would not fuck with that. And this nigga's clearly pussy as fuck, so he should calm down. I cannot go on and on all day about Fresh and Fit, because if I do, we will be sitting here for an hour. They do enough. Like, enough. Like, I'll insert clips. Mind you, these are grown-ass men. She was right. You was a grown-ass man.
You grown as hell.
Fuck.
What?
Yeah, well.
Okay.
Getting mad at little shit like people calling you mean, yet still you're over here with a fucking snap board and a fucking calculator to explain to women what they have and what type of man they're going to get because you made the fucking equation for it. Get the fuck out of my face. Moving on to red pillars. Even though Fresh and Fit is horrible, it would be a big lie to say that they started this whole manosphere community. It's been here for a long time, and a lot of them are red pillars. So red pillars basically feel as if they've learned the truth of the world, and what society's been feeding them and feeding men about masculinity has been a lie this whole time, and they know the real truth. This idea comes from the Matrix, you know, where they were like, red pill, blue pill, red pill, you see the new reality, blue pill, you stay where you're at. So for them, that means that women have too much power and feminism is their enemy. So a lot of them are against feminism, or they're basically the opposite of feminism. How the fuck you make a protest to my protest? That's fucked up. For instance, they would say things like, how comes women are categorized as big and beautiful, but for men, when they're big, they're just fat? As if they didn't perpetuate into our community that fat women are ugly as a stereotype, so we had to get around it by explaining to them that big women can be beautiful as well. But okay. This is just a whole lot of hypocrisy and a whole bunch of men being mad at what they made society to be like, but okay. So it all started with the pickup artist community. So moving in to pickup artists. So Wikipedia says pickup artists are self-identified as dating coaches in the seduction community or the pickup community. So it's a movement of men whose goals are seduction and sexual success with women. The rise of seduction science, game, or studied charisma has been attributed to modern forms of dating and social norms between the sexes. Commentators and media have described the game as sexist or misogynistic. So these guys basically do coaching, write books, all of that, telling guys how to get girls in layman's terms. That being said, these men usually don't feel like they win in life until they get to sleep with said girl or said target. I'm so sorry. I almost called women or girls. No. Targets. That's what they refer to them as. That's what we'll refer to them as throughout this video in respect of the manosphere community. The manosphere bubble. Targets. So a little brief history of the pickup artist. Psychotherapist Albert Ellis wrote The Art of Erotic Seduction, a how-to guide for men that encouraged them to meet women through the pickup. That was in 1967. This started a little while back. In 1970, there was a publication of How to Pick Up Girls by Eric Weber.
7 years later, Eric Weber then came up with How to Pick Up Girls Easy Edition, since it would appear it was too hard the first time around.
In 1999, the film Magnolia, where Tom Cruise portrayed a charismatic yet embittered and emotionally troubled pickup guru.
Respect the cock.
Kind of mainstream, not yet. The early 2000s. The early 2000s brought room for a lot of good things, but I guess it also brought us mainstream pickup artists, so love that.
Meet the world's most successful pickup artist. A man who goes by only one name.
Mystery.
In 2005, the biggest pivot happened, really. This is when it really got crazy. Neil Strauss published The Game, Penetrating the Secret Society of Pickup Artists, which was an expose of the pickup artist community, basically him following around famous pickup artist Mystery, where he was following him, learning from him, and writing a book that ended up sooner or later becoming the Bible of Incels. And the book became a bestseller, mind you. It's rated 5 out of 5 stars, or something close to that. It was a very well rated book. Now, in 2007 through 2008, there were 2 seasons of this show on VH1 called The Pickup Artist, which included Mystery, the pickup artist man, the messiah, the man, the myth, the legend, the daddy of all daddies himself.
We were just playing pool, and then we heard the phone ring.
Hello?
Hi.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Mystery, and I'd like to welcome you to your new home.
Nice. No.
So the book basically followed Mystery from Toronto to Hollywood and his rise of how he started seducing women on the way up. It was pretty much the key to helpless men on how to get fucked in the early 2000s, when showing your thong and low-rise pants were hot. They're still hot. It's still hot. It's still hot, but that's when it was really hot. Okay? No, some of the chapters of the books are called this. Like, these are the actual names of the chapters of the book. create an emotional connection, where he was supposedly quoted in the book speaking as if he was having sex in that moment, or he was trying to give off the idea that he was having sex in that moment, where he was quoted saying, "I think she's about to come. She is coming. Good for her." Because at the end of all of this, you know, I dragged her here. Like, haha, good for you, bitch. You came. Yeah, at least you get something good out of this night right before I bounce off of your titties, run out that door, and tell all of my homies that I got to hit. Because that's all that men care about, right? Isn't that right, Walter?
Yeah, because real talk, niggas don't really care about the girl. They just care about having the fact that, you know what, I did it.
I just really think that it's sad because they water down men to just sex and not having any type of emotions, but okay. I digress. And speaking of create an emotional connection with them, there's a clip of Mystery himself saying that somewhere in there he acts like he has emotions, like he's an emotional being. Almost like he acts like he's a person with feelings to trick women into thinking that he's turned off by them, because men are not emotional beings. They don't care about anything, just sex, and they work. They're not people with emotions at all.
If she's holding it lightly, I could then turn to her and say, "Can you cook? No? Well, get off me." And I can take her hand off of me. Taking the hand off is the freeze out, where she feels more uncomfortable not getting attention from you as I go and say, "All right, hands off me," and turn my back towards a little bit. I'm just turning a little bit and acting as if, well, hey, I'm an emotional being too. I can be turned off. And she said something or did something that turned me off. She wants to now revalidate herself, and I'll wait for it as she naturally takes her hand and puts it on again.
Other chapters like isolate the target, disarm the obstacles, target being women, just in case you forgot, and extract to a seduction location. Of course, because you don't win until you get the meow meow. So Mystery, in these bars, when he would take Strauss with him, the writer of the book, he would explain to him how to do things like how to neg women, which negging is supposedly a tactic where men will insult women to downgrade the value of the woman, almost to upgrade yourself, where they'll like wear fake jewelry, flashy things to catch the eye of a woman, and then neg them to lower their value, bring up their value, and make that woman basically want them. It almost reminds me of when I was in preschool and they used to tell me that if a boy bullies you, he has a crush on you. That stupid ass bullshit. So I guess it was in a book. Oh my gosh, this guy had such a bigger impact on male toxicity in relationships than I ever even thought. Like, that's crazy. Unfortunately, Strauss, I might be saying his name wrong, but I kind of don't care. Strauss, the writer of the book, the Bible itself, has converted religions, unfortunately. He's now a husband and a dad, and he came out about his sex addiction in his book, The Truth. Oh my god, shocker. A man writing a book about the only thing that matters with women is having sex with them, and that's how you score. Had a sex addiction this whole time? That's so weird. Anywho, he came out about his sex addiction in the book, The Truth, and when he got married to his wife, his bachelor party was themed a funeral. I'm gonna see if I can find any clips of this. It was themed a funeral, basically putting to rest his old ideologies and who he was before. So that's amazing. He found the light. Fun fact about me calling this book the Bible, Strauss was even quoted saying, "You make a good point. It was designed by my publisher at the time like a Bible." So it's like the book is asking for that in response to them saying how incels treat the book as a Bible. It's literally designed to look exactly like a Bible. Like, this is their way of life. Oh my god, it's so sad. As if after you score with the women, all of your problems of being a horrible person will vanish. That's how the box works. It's magical. This really waters men down to not being able to feel secure within themselves if they don't have sex, which is kind of sad because when they don't get it, these men are quite aggressive, quite wild. Incels gone wild. So within this, some of these groups do convince these men with these misogynistic ideals to get a little aggressive, which is a given from the way that their ideologies are. Let's get into a couple of examples. Elliot Rodger murdered 6 people near the University of California, Santa Barbara campus because women wouldn't have sex with him. After this, he was labeled the hero of incels, where they would make Facebook pages praising him, saying what he did was brave, he's an inspiration. I can't make this shit up. Alek Nissan? I don't give a fuck what his name is. If I butcher it, it's for good reason. Alek drove through a crowd of people in Toronto, and he told investigators that he was set out to kill as many people as possible and that he drew inspiration from the misogynistic incel movement. He also stated he felt like he accomplished his mission.
So explain to me this movement. What's this movement about?
It's basically a movement of angry incels, such as myself, who are unable to get laid. Therefore, we want to overthrow the Chads, which would force the Stacies to be forced to reproduce with the incels.
Right.
Need I continue? Pickup artists like Roosh V, who tell stories about his sexual exploits, sound remarkably like R-word.
Legalize so less women would be.
And he insists it's satire. Fellow pickup artist Julian Blank got his Australian visa cancelled after advocating for emotional A-word in order to attract women. Surprise, surprise, men of the manosphere have skewed views on R-word, essaying, and everything else that has to do with violence against women. Oh my gosh, I'm so surprised. Come on now. These men don't respect women. They don't treat them as people that have rights or needs, or I digress. So after all this research, my brain was melting. I was like, how can some people really see in this light? Even though I'm extremely aware that this is not all men. A lot of them hide behind steroids and muscles and fake alpha male ideals to make you feel like you're with a quality guy, but it's really just a piece of shit insecure man that quivers under the thought of being called mean.
I'm not mean at all.
I considered myself a supreme gentleman.
These are grown-ass men, as Asian Doll said. So I watched a CNN documentary to do a little bit of research on what the hell a man who is an incel in this community, how do you actually feel? Because these men feel like they have been exposed to a new light, a new age of thinking, a new wave that nobody else is onto yet. So I want to know a different take from the incel man. So the documentary follows this guy Josh. Of course, it's not his real name. They hid his identity, who is an ex-incel. I too would hide my identity if I was a radical misogynist, but I digress. So he said it started where he would have a lot of trouble with women, but instead of blaming himself, he would make the easier decision to blame women.
Felt lonely or misunderstood?
Combination of both. That was essentially like my gateway drug into the whole concept that feminism was my enemy.
And he states that the prime objective of pickup artists is to reclaim their power in the relationship, or in the relationship that is masculinity and femininity in this world. And reclaiming their power is getting sex. Now within these communities, they have strong views sprinkled in with being alt-right, extremely radical, Republican, and skewed views on sexuality, of course, but where there's smoke, there's fire. So since these men are caught in the embarrassment of not having enough girls or money, they take the radical approach to do whatever Big Bro tells them will work. Big Bro being... Anywho, this shit goes deeper than just relationships at this point, this guy Josh explains, and it gets into politics, where at the time, a lot of these men were extremely happy when Hot Cheeto president, oh wait, not Hot Cheeto, just regular Cheeto, Hot Cheetos are red. When Chester the Cheeto was here and he was the president, a lot of these men were extremely happy because He was the more radical president. He had these hot ass takes that made these men believe that he was going to change the world and, you know, bring men's rights back, because men have no rights apparently, or they're being taken away because of feminism. So they decided to rally behind him since he was the alt-right president. You know, he shared the same little hot takes as them. I wouldn't be surprised if he was like in the little, he's a part of the manosphere community. He has to be. Like, grab her by the cooter. Like, that's definitely them. Establish dominance, get respect. And they definitely have the ideal that modern feminism is endangering men. The red pill community targets race and other minorities where they feel like not only women are the problem, but black men as well. It's getting personal. It's like beginning to get very personal, as you can see. The rhetoric obviously doesn't stand firm with all red pillars or all men of the manosphere being racist or deciding to blame black men, because as we can see, both Fresh and Fuckface, they're both minority men. But I can see how this can be the breeding ground of some serious self-hating. This is definitely a coon breeding ground, which obviously it is a coon breeding ground because, as we said, Mr. Walter said he is not a Knight Rider, and neither is Mr. Myron.
Me and Fresh aren't really down with the brown like that.
Man.
We ain't Knight Riders.
Nah,
so
bro, I'm good.
You know, sometimes if they're, you know, red bone, but like in general, me and Fresh don't dabble in the dark, if you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
Men of the rowing team would never be Knight Riders. In the process, though, he did say that he was in a very dark place, so I do almost feel a wee bit, a sprinkle of remorse for these men, that they had to get to the point where maybe they were heartbroken or hurt and they had to go look on the internet to find what to do to maybe fix a relationship, how to get a girl, because they were feeling extremely lonely, and then ended up in these communities. But that's just not an excuse to have these radicalized opinions about women and to just go crazy, you know? Like, it's not a reason. I'm sorry. It's just not a good enough reason for me. But we could talk about this for ages and ages. I'm sure a lot of us have met men that might be just like this. But if you have, or if you haven't, let me know what your opinions are in the comments. Let me know what your experiences are in the comments. I love you guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm gonna let some of these flash up on the screen, some tweets, you know, from our lovely red pillar men, our men of the manosphere, so you guys can look more into it if you're interested. And also leave in the comments what other videos you want to see, because I have so much to talk about and I'm only just getting started. So see you guys. Destiny out.